Welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny, that is Sal, and today we're going to give you our opinions on Black Panther. I'm sorry, I got a weird tickle in my throat right there. Today's episode is brought to you by one of our sponsors, Into the AM. Check out this shirt. I'm getting so many compliments on this shirt. Like, I get all these crazy designs of shirts. You guys know how I find them? You know how I find them? I find companies that make awesome designs, and then I get them to sponsor us. So... if you want to get this shirt and many of their other designs, they're doing a giant Black Friday sale. The ad should be playing on the screen right now. 10% off if you use the code absolutely at checkout. Link will be down below. So check them out. And also, don't forget about our other sponsor, Waifu Cups /Gamersups /Sus Bars. They now have come out with sustainable bars. They taste like Rice Krispie treats with great macros, which I love. They got like 8 grams of protein and stuff like that in them. So definitely check it out. You can get your energy drinks that are less chalky than their competitors. You can get t-shirts with the anime girls on them, and you can get the sustainable bars. So those are our two sponsors, Into the AM, and you can get yourself some Gamer Subs. All right. Let's talk about Black Panther.
Yes.
So we're not really going to run through this beat by beat. Let's just talk about like we normally don't either anyway.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, I'm going to say this is probably one of my favorite Phase 4 projects out of the entirety of the MCU. Yes,
Yeah.
I got Spider-Man No Way Home. I got Werewolf Into the Night, Werewolf by Night, and I got Black Panther. Those are the only things worth your shit in Phase 4. So
No, WandaVision was really good.
Okay.
I liked Captain America: Winter Soldier. Like there,
it's different than here's what you really gotta watch because they're like on a different level.
Yeah.
Okay?
You know what it was?
If you want to go with what I like, WandaVision, I mean, I'll even say watch Moon Knight.
Loki, some of Moon Knight.
But if you gotta watch, like you're limited on time, the 3 that you gotta watch, Werewolf by Night, Spider-Man, and definitely Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Those are definitely the favorites. And you know why? All 3 of them have a very clear direction. All of them have something they want to say. Now, Spider-Man... they want to say, how about 3 Spider-Men? But like the other ones, they clearly want to do something. You know, Giacchino's like, I really, really want to do this like kind of throwback classic horror movie. And then this one is...
I would say real quick, Spider-Man's not, do you want 3 Spider-Men? It's dealing with the ramification, the penalty of your own actions. Because at the ending, end, it's about loss and what he's got to deal with the loss of everything. Because he kept trying to fix it. Because the ending doesn't end with him getting everything he wanted. It ends with him getting nothing.
Yeah.
So that makes that, you're right, that says something. Thor: Love and Thunder ends with, cool, he's got a kid.
Cool, the least interesting idea you could possibly come up with. Just like Hulk, yay.
Yeah, She-Hulk ended with none of it was a thing. You could literally skip She-Hulk and you're skipping nothing because of that ending.
Yeah. I did like She-Hulk, but yes.
I did, I agree. But the problem with the ending of She-Hulk is now it doesn't matter in any way, shape, or form. So...
No. I mean, like, Daredevil's here. But, like, otherwise, Black Panther 2, man, Coogler and company are like, we have something to say, and we're going in a direction.
Right. The whole thing is about grief and moving past your grief and what it's going to take.
And what's so amazing about it, what's so, like, satisfying about this, is that this is what we love about Marvel movies.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff, where it's like, here is a story, a begin, middle, and end story that pays off something that happened in a previous movie, but also without being, I don't know, ham-fisted and clunky, introducing new aspects to the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
I cite, of course, friggin' Namor.
Okay, so I want to start with that right there. This movie, I did not see the direction it was going in. My expectation going in, this is how I expected the movie to play out. And it didn't. So that's why I'm going to make this quick. I thought it was going to be we were going to have the funeral for T'Challa. We were going to be sad for T'Challa for 45 minutes. She would discover she has to be Black Panther. We would fight against Namor. Then together they would come together to fight a teamed up big bad. That's what I thought we were going to get.
Wow.
And we did not get that. We got a whole movie about grief and moving on. We didn't get Black Panther till the ending, and Namor and Black Panther fought. Like that was the climax. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Did you expect there to be another big bad that they would have to team up against?
I did not, and I'm so glad that didn't happen. No, I really didn't. But I didn't have it. You know, it's funny. I didn't have really any expectations about this. I saw all the trailers. My wife didn't. She was like, "I don't want to see any trailers. I want to be surprised." But I saw the trailers, and all I saw was just like the trailers were like mini movies that were celebrating Chadwick Boseman and being like, here's how we feel about what's happened right now. That's what I got out of those trailers. I didn't really get much story out of like Namor's showing up, and
Well,
it's going to be
I was
tough.
just going off every superhero fight,
totally.
and then they team up
especially-
again. And when they started the movie with the FBI CIA angle, I was like, that's going to be the big bad. Like
Right.
we're going to deal with the big bad's going to be the government coming in, and that's going
Yeah.
to be what we're going to have to fight against.
That's fair. That'd be something to worry about. Like that, I would definitely have jumped to that conclusion myself if I was thinking about it. But like, I
Right.
deliberately was like, not that I'm like, I'm not going to think about it. It was just, I just didn't. I was just like watching the movie. Like and when it came to getting ready for this movie, I was just like, here we go. Like, yeah, we'll see what happens. Like, and it was so. It's funny because this is, like I said, this is the thing we like about Marvel movies. And it's like, because not only is it absolutely a sequel to the Black Panther movie, despite the fact that it absolutely did not have to be, it pays off a lot of different elements from that movie that I forgot about. I genuinely forgot that they burned the heart-shaped herb.
I did too.
And I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Watch
You can't have a Black Panther.
I don't rewatch Marvel movies over and over again. Like, so I'm just like, oh yeah, they did that. Oh my God. Yeah. That's a really important point. Like, that's something that's really,
and I like it wasn't just glanced over. It wasn't like, oh, I found one. There was one in the closet.
Yeah, right. This is a dank one. Like, no, it's just, I was surprised to see that, like, that was paid off. That was really important. They dealt with that. And I deal with it as an ongoing thing. I'm like, all right on. How they linked it with Namor, how they introduced Namor and like made him a character, and all that stuff. It all works as a sequel to Black Panther. It all works as a, like, I don't know, homage picture that like commemorates an actor. And it works as a setup movie, but it was so self-contained that, like, if you only watch, like, random Marvel movies, like your uncle, who's like, which one do I have to watch? Like, you could just watch this and just enjoy it. Like, there are some movies that are transition movies.
Oh, yeah.
There's some of these Marvel movies where it's like, we don't really need this one, or you don't need to watch this one
Multiverse
again.
of Madness, because it's recent in people's memories, and Thor: Love and Thunder both be completely skipped out. Multiverse of Madness mentions a couple of things, but it's not that important. And Thor: Love and Thunder is the most forgettable Marvel movie in the recent years. So
I can't believe it's one of the most expensive fever dreams I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and but you could rewatch this movie. You could watch it on its own. There's a sequence where I was getting angry because of how self-contained the movie felt, despite the fact that it is like dealing with everything else. But I was worried that it was so self-contained they were going to introduce something really important. I don't want to give away spoilers just yet, but like we'll get to it. Where there's an element at the end of the movie where I'm like, oh, they could go in this direction, and if they do, it would be satisfying in as much as it would be part of the journey for this character, but it would be such a waste. Because I like what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it works. And everyone has motivations that work, M'Baku does. Shuri does. Her mother does. Namor does. Hell, Atuma does. Like, they all have all these different, like, motivations that all work. It's just, we're describing a successful movie. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just describing the tenets of a movie.
I'll get a bar on track here. I want to start with the beginning. One thing that I really liked about this was we didn't try to immediately fill Chadwick Boseman's spot. There was no guy that stepped in and was kind of filling the role.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? You have like a bunch of fake Black Panthers or something. Yeah.
Well, but I'm talking like because like you are missing the older brother, the prince, the king. You are missing that like male figure. And they didn't try to fill it in. M'Baku didn't show up and just, okay, I'm now going to follow around the whole movie because we got to have that. So I actually appreciate the fact that we just took existing cast members and moved forward. Like, we didn't just have the Shuri's like, oh, and here's my friend Bob. Bob's been here the whole time because we need to have a guy figure on this journey with us.
That's true. Yeah, that's fair.
So I like the fact that it was Shuri and Okoye who were like the primary individuals for most of that movie, and the mother. I do want to comment real quick that actress is jacked. Her traps made me jealous. Like
Angela Bassett is like the second lead. She is the lead of this movie.
Oh, she 100%.
She's the star of the movie until she isn't. But like her portrayal, it's actually like it's such a great opportunity in as much as like, this could have easily just been a forgettable sequel, or it could have been like, I don't know, self-indulgent. But they're like, no, let's give everyone agency and something to do.
Yeah.
And like Ramonda is like, just what would she do? What would you do if you were the queen mother and your husband, son are gone and you're left to kind of like rule? she is such a great powerhouse.
Well, and what I loved about her role is that they didn't even kind of ignore the last movie. They immediately were like, hey, you stood by Killmonger. You watched all this burn, and you're lucky I'm letting you even do anything.
Right.
Like, I loved that. It was so powerful, to see her drop the spear, which also made me think, like, how many holes has Okoye, like, punctured into the ground?
I had the same thought where I'm like, I was like, this must be a thing they do all the time. So, like, do they have, like, a weekly marble polisher that comes in and just cleans up all
fills
the floors?
The gaps that she's
fills them all up?
Or maybe she hits the same spot every time. Like this is her position in the throne.
That's my place. Yeah, but then it gets pretty big. It would wobble. But Okoye has something to do, and it's fun because like she is basically an Avenger at this point. Like she has been 100%. In so many Avengers movies, and she has been such a like noted power player that like let's give her something to do. Let's give her agency and have her have her own plot line. And that's really cool. And like I said, everybody has their own plot lines.
I loved that big beat with her, and I love the fact that they then did Shuri and Okoye are going off to get Riri. Like I said, we didn't fill the gap because that was another thing I was worried about, that they were just going to add another cast member to kind of fill Chadwick Boseman's role in the movie. Like he won't be the king, but we need the stern like brother figure. So we'll have M'Baku go along for the journey or something. Like I was worried that was going to happen. Like we were just going to fill his void. We're going to celebrate him and then fill his gap and keep going. So I was super happy about that. I loved the redo and the origin of Riri. Makes so much more sense than the comic book version, that she gets tied into Wakanda this way. So she kind of understands things. If you don't know, the comic book origin for Riri is literally randomly she's a college student who figured out how to make an Iron Man suit. That's literally the whole plot.
Right.
She's in the backup of an Iron Man book. It's like she's not even interacting with Iron Man.
No. And I remember like her being introduced and thinking just like, these are the things, everything that they introduce about Riri in this movie are things that I just vaguely know about Riri from the comics. Like I know she had a dad who was a gearhead and he's not like around anymore. I know that like there's a mom somewhere. I know that she is a gearhead herself and likes to make cars. I know that she built her own Iron Man suit, and I know that she's like incalculably intelligent. Like, okay, we're good.
And I like that she built the thing to track the vibranium. And she's like, it was a school project. Like,
right? Like, it was played for laughs and it was well executed, but like, it's weird because this is the second Phase 4 Marvel movie in which a female person of color is basically the MacGuffin of the movie. Because like America Chavez just like, we gotta get the America Chavez into the special thing, otherwise the whole world will explode. and this one is basically, we gotta get the Riri Williams into the thing.
The only thing I'll say that I like better about Riri's portrayal than America's is that Riri actually participated, while America was like, all right, put her in the trophy case.
What do I do? Do I make a star? I feel bad because neither, they're both MacGuffins. I'm sorry you're not going to be a character. Maybe one day they'll give you something to do.
Well, Riri's getting the Ironheart show now.
Yeah, but Riri's getting a show. America Chavez is getting nothing. But Riri, I don't care about Riri's character or plot line, and I'm not like
the problem with Riri's role is that she didn't really get integrated too well into anything. She spoke briefly with Shuri. They had a little back and forth, but there was no like real touching moments between Riri and Shuri. And the fact is, you could have removed Riri from the movie, and they just made a machine.
No,
and
but
the same effect would have happened.
You need her because she is the catalyst through which everything happens. Like, Namor doesn't want to invade or deal with Wakanda because, like, without her. Wakanda doesn't go to America or deal with any of that because of her. She is the catalyst for the plot to keep going forward. It is all about, like, keeping her alive for one reason or another. That is at least more important, but I hate when they make people into MacGuffins. Like, I hate when they make people into, like, plot devices, especially characters that they want to use later on.
Right.
But she was fine. The actor did a nice job. She was believable and realistic and da-da-da-da.
I think they could have pulled her out, just made it generic scientist A. It didn't have to be a character.
No, but that would have been boring. Like, it would have been really boring if she was just like a scientist. If if they dusted off the female scientist they really pushed in Age of Ultron.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, if they were like, it's
her
her
again.
again.
Even talking about, yeah.
No, because she's not really important, and in China that was really like amplified. But like,
okay.
Yeah, that's it. Just,
So,
but it's cool. But at least she got to like put on cool armor and fly around.
Yeah, and I liked this armor actually better than her just carbon copy of the Iron Man armor. I was worried they were going to do that, and I was like, if they just straight do Iron Man armor, she's going to get so much hate for no reason. Like,
you think? Because like it's really ugly.
I think it's better than just Iron Man armor, which is what she made originally. It was literally just an Iron Man suit.
No, I know. I don't know what I would have liked, but I also know that you can't just have another Iron Man. Like, at this point, like, it didn't work. Like, when she was Iron Manning out and flying around, and she was like, woo! First of all, I was like, I don't know you. I don't have any, like, investment in you. I didn't watch you build it. There's no fun montage. I don't know your struggle. I know about it because you told me
montage was
about
interwoven into Shuri's montage about getting the
right.
Apparently 3D printing flowers is a thing.
That's Wakandan technology, man. Yeah, you can't pull that thread. But
I'm pulling it now. I'm pulling it.
Well, then it's over because like none of it makes any sense. Bracelet technology, no, forget it. Holograms, everybody's got to have an AI. Oh yeah, because we can't see thought balloons, so I need to have an AI so everyone has somebody to talk to. You know, it's all bullshit. But
these beads are they can revive someone from the dead. You can call somebody. They can track you across the world. They can like
yes. Those beads. What do these beads do? Yes, everything.
These beads do whatever we need so that they don't have to go get something. Yeah. The beads do it.
What's their power source? How do they run? What do I plug them into? What are you talking about? These are Wakandan
Do you think
beads.
they have to charge them at night? Like they go in and they take their beads and they just
I would
plug
hope.
them in?
At least that would make some kind of sense as opposed to no sense, which is what they do. But again, like I'm only illustrating it to be like, don't question the technology.
No, I agree. You can't question that.
I want to move over.
Let's talk about the next big thing, though. Let's talk about Namor and his complete
Yes.
reinvention.
Yeah,
I love this. As someone who's not a giant fan of Namor, I'm not.
Right.
I know of him. I know Atlantis. Those are fine. You know, I know Imperious Rex. I'm not like I could.
Yeah,
Namor's always been a
Namor,
character that I'm like, I don't care if he shows up. Like it's whatever.
Yeah, it's like Marvel doesn't have the rights to Namor. Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was
now
never a big deal. I like his reinvention because he's more ingrained into like worldly lore. They didn't just make up lore. They like here's somebody who doesn't really have a superhero, and we're gonna make it kind of tie in and make more sense. And it also even gives an answer to why he's so angry. Because like in the comics, I'm like, he's just mad. Why? Because he's Namor. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's
like,
it.
honestly, you know, I like Namor because he is such a jackass.
Well, he stays a jackass, Sal. He doesn't even budge an inch until he's literally dying.
Literally that. I remember on a previous episode, I was really bummed that like about the rumor that they weren't going to use Atlantis, they were going to call it something else, and I'm like, yeah, that's dumb. But the fact that they like tied it in with this like other thing, and the fact they said it like he was born like 1511, you know, I'm like, all right, you know what? He's that old. Knock yourself out. You know what? Like if that's that long ago, you can call it Atlantis if you want to, derivatively, whatever you want to say. It's got a name. I don't remember.
I think they did that
Starts with a
intentionally.
T.
They basically said anything underwater can now just, it was this the whole time.
Exactly.
It was these guys the whole time. My only complaint about the sequences involving Namor, I did not like the underwater haze they put on everything. That like it looked like you were looking at it through a film to give you that underwater look.
Yeah.
I like what DC does better with that, where she's like, look, the hair is flowing. Like the haze just bothered me, and I don't know why.
I didn't mind the haze. I was surprised because I was like, at some point or another, while they were underwater, I'm like,
Talokanil,
yeah. But I'm like, this looks like it's underwater. Like, you know, it's when it's. I remember there for some reason in the 2000s there were a lot of movies that were underwater, and they always looked really bad. And this looked fine. I was like, okay, cool. You know, you need to get it right because he's a fish man. But when it comes to Namor and his portrayal, you know, he has true motivation. He is sympathetic is too strong a word, but like I get it. You know what I mean? Like
you
I get his struggle.
Him,
I
but
get
you're
his
not going to
motivation.
side with him.
No, like,
and that was another. For the record, that was another plot point that I'm happy they didn't go with. I thought they were going to be like, well, Shuri and Namor might get together because they're getting really close. I was like, are we going to do a love story? No, I'm glad we didn't. They were just like, nope.
I didn't think they were going to do that, but I was like, I was really impressed because a lesser filmmaker would have done that. Like they would have been like, oh, they
throw in a love
him.
angle. I can't kill you, Namor, because I love you or something. You know what I mean? Like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
but instead, like it's just we have another villain whose motivations we get.
Yeah.
But also we can root against because our other hero is having a struggle. Namor was cool and interesting. I liked the actor who played him, and I loved I loved everything about it. And I think that like that was one of the things where, I was like, all right, like when Namor shows up, I'm like, all right, here we go. Like we're sink or swim, no pun intended. But by like the midway point, I'm like, yes. Like
when he
I'm
first
glad
showed up with the wingedings on his feet, I was kind of like, oh no. It didn't
See,
look
I don't know what
bad.
everyone's problem is with these wings.
No, it worked. It worked. They made it work. Like, I'm
Yeah.
fine with it. But when he just walks around and doesn't use them, then it's
Right.
goofy. But he used them, so it's like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, I get this. It's
Well, and
working.
like it was to his character. Like he always made sure he was a little bit taller than everybody else.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so Namor. And not just like, oh boy, they did the thing from the comic books. No, they reinterpreted Namor and made him a thing from they made it so that like you could read the comic books and be like, well, Namor is much more of a jackass in the comics for no good reason. And in this movie, you're just like, I get the same kind of vibes about this character, but it's wholly original.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, do it. Like, this is going really well. I want to see Namor. Like, when they kept saying, like, he's trying to take over the surface world, I'm like, this is exactly what he is.
Yeah.
All he is he's just a jackass.
And even the ending when he finally, like, submits, he's
Yeah.
like, no, I only did this because they're going to be forced to come to us. It's
Right.
that's going to happen.
I was really worried they were going to kill him off. That was my thing.
I also loved, I was really, like, towards the end, I'm like, they're going to kill Namor. What?
Right.
Like, why?
was me.
Stop doing this, Marvel. And then they
That
didn't
was
do it.
exactly what I was thinking. That was the thing I was like so worried about. I'm like, they're going to kill Namor. And you know what? Shuri, I get why she would kill Namor. I'm okay with this in as much as I think that like this is a satisfying film, but I want more. But I want Namor to be part of the Marvel universe now.
Yeah.
And then they didn't. And I'm like, yes, okay, cool. It still works. And it's not just because she's like, no, killing is wrong. Goodbye. It's more like, no, this is relevant to my character and my journey. Like, I'm doing this for this reason. I'm like, okay, yes.
Yeah.
It works as a movie as well as a franchise builder.
I want to talk about the Talokanil real fast.
Yeah.
I loved the creepy angle, the siren song thing. That was so much creepier than anything else the Marvel universe has tried to do at this point.
Yeah.
I loved that.
No.
I also loved the weird answer they gave to why sometimes they're white skinned and sometimes they're blue skinned. The
Yeah.
Atlanteans, where they're like, no, if they're down below, they're white skinned because they're tanned or like whatever skin color they are.
They're not blue.
They're not blue is what I'm getting at. Right.
Yes.
And then when they go up, they turn blue. And I'm like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. You know?
I kind of dug it. I was like, that's fine. Good. Yeah. All right. Worked for me. Like,
So
all the Namor stuff worked great. Shuri's arc, I thought was, obviously it's the whole driving force of the movie, and it works. She's great.
Yeah.
Like, not so much as she's great, and as an actor, I don't know. She did a nice job, but I liked the journey she went on because Shuri in the comics is an angry person.
yes.
And Shuri in the Marvel universe.
That's where a lot of times they have their fights. The fight is because Shuri just wants to just eradicate everything. She's closer to Namor, and I like that they didn't change that. They didn't be like, okay, now you got to be more soft-hearted. No,
Well, in the MCU, she's cute and fun. She's like, yeah, meow, 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 meow. But like they made her grow into the character that she really is based off of in an organic way that worked.
Yeah. How about the allowing Angela Bassett, the Queen, to pass?
It was
like
awesome.
I was shocked. Like they actually killed her. Like
Yeah,
what?
I was not shocked because I'm like, how Angela Bassett's a real actor. I'm like, how long is she really going to want to do this? But that's a meta watch. I love the idea of her being like, of her losing her mother, and it's really tragic and and poignant. It gives her more motivation to hate Namor and to want him dead. And it's like, it's sad because you're like, we really lost Chadwick Boseman, but in the story we lost T'Challa. She just lost her brother. She's reeling from it for a year, and then she loses her mother a year later, and all these Wakandans, like.
And when she thinks that she's either going to see T'Challa or her mother in the
Oh my
spirit
God.
realm, it's Killmonger, who was
Right.
still just Killmonger. He wasn't like, I've been reflecting, and I would
No!
no, he's just going to go murder everyone. Vengeance.
Yeah, he's like, no, I created a hippy dippy commune out in the land of the dead, like friggin' the Abomination. And I'm a joke now. No, he's like, he's He's unapologetic.
Oh yeah. He's like, I knew what I was doing. Like,
And I love that. Like that was a moment where I'm like, that there was a lot of conversation. I'll bet there are like alternate takes of who's in that chair where they were like,
I honestly was a little worried we were going to get a CG Chadwick Boseman.
Me
I
too.
thought they were going to do what they did with Princess Leia and that whole space like
too.
floating. I thought we were going to get that. I thought they were going to
Yeah.
reuse lines or they would do like a Paul Walker thing where they got his
Yeah.
brothers to come in and play him and then they
Right?
put his face over it.
yeah.
So
I was
I
really
was
worried
actually
that's gonna
happy that it wasn't, and it was Killmonger. It also played to the story a lot better than just being
did.
like, and here's T'Challa, you know?
Right. And it was really cool because like, because I think the audience was like, man, don't do it. Like I could feel the audience like pulling back on it. Like don't bring back T'Challa or like, or we're like,
And
or her mother
playing off
being-
what you said, do you think there is an alternate take where they tried it?
I think they did. I think at least they wrote it. They wrote it down and they thought about it and they were like, is this, and I can imagine like it getting shot down for the sole purpose of being like, we made a whole movie about not having him in it.
Yeah.
Like the movie is about him not being in it. If we CG resurrect him, then we might as well not even make this whole movie.
And for the guys
And-
in the chat who are saying that it would have been disrespectful, I mean, they've done it multiple times in the movie industry. That is
Yeah.
a totally different debate about resurrecting the
Yeah.
dead. And
If
it
his
being-
family sign off on it, I have nothing to say about it.
Yeah.
But like, the fact is, the whole movie is hinged on the idea of him being dead and not being in the movie. So if you bring him back, it sucks.
Yep. Even if it was just for a, hey, you're learning, you got to move on. At all.
Yeah.
If he's
Oh,
brought
yeah.
back at all, it's like,
No, exactly.
you've ruined
But
it.
then it made you go like, Killmonger. Like, whoa, that's cool. He's great. And it works to the themes and the feelings that Shuri has.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like, well, everybody loved you know what I mean? Like, everybody loved Killmonger. I mean, there are people who were like, well, if Chadwick Boseman's gone, bring back Michael B. Jordan.
yeah.
Make him
I've
Black
seen
Panther
it, yeah.
again. Oh, yeah, people wanted that. And I'm like, what? First of all, he's dead too, but also like, no. And then to have him come back and be like, I'm an unapologetic douchebag. Like, I don't want to kill it, burn it all down. Like, yeah, like, that's cool. Like, it worked so well, and it was a surprise. The audience did not see that coming.
Let's talk about real quick, the weird suits that Okoye and the other member
Oh,
of
the Midnight Angels.
Yeah. I did not like that helmet. It reminded me of Hellboy.
I thought it reminded me of Predator a little bit, but like I liked the color scheme, and I think they're thinking we really like Okoye, but she's getting up in years, and maybe she doesn't want to do all that physicality like she.
Right.
Because Okoye is the costume. Like you know what I mean? Like she can't wear anything that like hides that she's not doing it. You know what I mean? Like she's got to flip and move things and jump around and stuff like that. She's got to maintain that physicality.
Right.
But if we just put her in an Iron Man suit, it's like, no, okay, we can keep Okoye going around for a long time. And it's like, yeah, I guess that's true. But yeah, and the Midnight Angels are in the comics.
That I didn't know. I did not know that they were actually in the comics. I've never heard of them before.
Yeah, they were in Doom War. And
I'm about to cover Doom War. We're literally getting to that. So
yeah, no, we did Doom War on back issues, and like there are a couple of moments from that. My wife's like, "Did you know?" I'm like, "No, but hooray!" But yeah, man, and they don't look like that, by the way. But they do like, yeah. I like the fact that they're in it. I don't know. There's something.
the suits just read weird to me. I get why they did it, and it made perfect sense. It always goes back to the argument of like, hey, we can make a Black Panther suit and we can make an Iron Man suit, but no one else gets them, even though we're allies. Like,
That's right.
Why?
No.
Why not?
We can't trust you. You can have a War Machine suit.
But Hawkeye, enjoy your bow. Anyway,
He doesn't want a suit. It would too much. They would just.
have
it would
you
restrict
asked him? Have you asked him?
No, I don't want to insult him. He'd be offended if I put him from a suit.
But yeah, no, I liked the idea that she's kind of getting more involved, things going on. Nakia, I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Yeah, Nakia. Yeah.
Nakia. I forgot about her for the first one.
Clearly they did too, because she's in Black Panther and then Black Panther 2. She's
Okay,
literally
I'm not
in
crazy.
nothing.
They go to her and they're acting like I should know this character, and I'm like, I swear I probably should.
No, I did know Nakia because Nakia was the love interest. I'm like, hey, like throughout Infinity War and Endgame, I'm like, when does Nakia show up? When they were like, who's going to be the new Black Panther? I'm like, well, Nakia, she's a badass.
Yeah.
And she's a name actor, but no, and that's fine. And then we get why, and I'm like, oh, okay, you guys are smart.
So the way they wrapped this whole thing up, which I found kind of interesting, that they decided to go this route. M'Baku is now the king? I'm assuming that's where they're going with that. Because she wasn't there, and he didn't show up like, ha, ha, ha. He's I am the king now.
That's the deal that she made with him. I think she's like, I'm Black Panther, I'll protect Wakanda, but like...
Because I don't think she's ready to lead. At the end of this, and I think that's the best part, is this is a story about her getting over her grief, but at the ending, she's still not over it.
No.
She's just learned to deal with it better. And I like that. I like that we didn't just get your usual MCU, it's all wrapped up with a bow. Oh, Shuri's okay now. She's over it all. So she's going to rule. Like, I like that.
Well, they kept not calling her queen. Like, throughout the whole movie, they're, after the queen mother is dead, they're like, oh, yeah, Princess Shuri. And I'm like, princess of what? She's a queen now.
Yeah. So I actually like the fact that we didn't do that. And I like that they set up M'Baku not to just be like a tyrant or... Like, he seemed more intelligent than he was in the first movie.
Well, they gave him more, right? Like, well, because M'Baku in the comics, I think he's very different. And
I'm pretty sure he's mostly a villain.
Right. So it's like, let's not do that. Like, they didn't do that in Black Panther 1, where they were he'll be antagonistic.
He was always challenging for the throne, but never in a sense where you're like, oh, he's going to try and do some weird shit and, like, fight Black Panther. No, it's just, he did it all proper, by the laws.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like... Every time we see him, he was in Infinity War. I think he was in Endgame. Like, he's in all these movies, and he's, like, on the good guy side. He's like, let's do this.
He's in more movies than Nakia.
That's true. That's true. And so he's a badass, and he's doing stuff, and you're like, I mean, I think he's grown. And then in this movie, they're like, yes. Like, they show you, like, he's trying to be, like, her advisor, and he's showing his wisdom. He's the only one on the council who's like, they think his people worship him like a god. He's not like a president. If we kill this guy, you know, it's not going to demoralize them. It's going to make them go nuts. And it's like,
exactly.
That's fair, man. Like, hey, maybe you should be
I also
king.
loved his one fight sequence with Namor where he just gets punched in the chest and he's like, oh.
See, that was, I was like, oh, they killed him.
Yeah, I thought it was it. I was like, they just punch him out in the middle. He's just getting up. Like, what is his armor made of?
I know. Well, some kind of vibranium weave. I expected him to just know. I thought his like chest caved in and he died. And I'm like, no!
I just killed M'Baku.
Yeah, I'm like, no more death in this freaking movie, please. Yeah, it was great. Also, M'Baku's the only guy who called him a fish man, which I do all the time. So, I feel a kinship with that guy. He's so fun.
I also loved his random tout of Imperious Rex, not M'Baku, but fish guys. Just Imperious Rex. I was like, yes, he said it, and it still means nothing.
He didn't say it in English, but he said it, and it's like, that's fun. That's really cool. Like, it was cool that they put it in there. I wasn't expecting it, and when he says it, I'm like, oh!
Yeah. And I just love that it still means nothing. It's not tied to anything.
No, it's what he says. He's an older guy. In Latin, it basically means Empire King, which is just being like, I'm in charge.
Right.
So it's like, I guess he's just giving himself a pat on the back, like, listen, don't worry, you're still in charge.
So, we don't even need to make a separate video for this because honestly, it's just so tied into the joke before this. So we ended the movie with Shuri going on to her memorial, and she finally burns the robes that she had to wear at 2 funerals, which I thought was very fitting and very symbolic, sad. And it really closed out the movie well. And that's kind of the ending of the movie. Shuri is over here. She's going to be away from Wakanda and kind of figure things out. M'Baku's in charge. And Namor is going to be kind of waiting in the wings. Like, we're back to where everyone's kind of moving forward. But then we get what Dan jokingly called the good ending, as if we played a video game, in which we discover that Nakia was missing because she was raising the child of T'Challa.
Yeah.
Which is just, I find weird because it doesn't really play into anything. It doesn't.
That was kind of like.
Yeah, that was like a cap on the whole thing. It was like, oh, and by the way, Nakia was gone because she was raising T'Challa's child. You're like, wait, what? Where did that even come from? Like,
honestly, I think that worked out really well because they were like, we didn't put Nakia in any of these movies. Why is she not in any? She is a major character in the first movie. She's the love interest. It would be like if Pepper Potts doesn't do anything in Captain America Civil War, despite the fact that Iron Man is the second lead in the movie.
Yeah.
And they still have a sequence to explain where she is. In these movies, they're like, they don't say where the hell Nakia is. She doesn't even get a holographic deceased image in the Endgame sequence where they're talking about who's dead. You know what I mean? Like, we don't get that. Everybody gets that. Scott's kids get that. But that being said, I loved this because I think it kills two birds with one stone. No offense meant. Where it's like, they explain where she was. They give her a damn good reason. Yeah. And now they're like, for any of you who are being like, we should recast T'Challa, we should get him back, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's another T'Challa coming. And we have time travel. We could always cast a T'Challa son down any time, like now, actually. And, and during Kang Dynasty, he shows up.
I mean, honestly, this is the best way to do it if you're not going to just traditionally recast. Right. It's almost like a soft reboot of T'Challa.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to do another T'Challa. We're just going to do it again. That way we can touch on all the T'Challa stories that we didn't get to do due to the just unexpected passing of Chadwick Boseman. So we can touch on those.
Yeah.
But we still have Shuri here as the Black Panther now.
Right.
But we're ready to move past her whenever we need to.
And she's only Black Panther for a little while anyway. So, we could mine every Black Panther story we could ever do with Shuri.
Yeah.
And then still have T'Challa come back as his son, basically. Just, T'Challa returns. And just do all those stories about him, because he never really got a chance to actually do, any true Black Panthering outside of just being in other people's movies.
Yeah. This, if anything, tells me that the MCU is no longer planning to the Infinity War 10-year plan, and then we might just shut everything down, which is kind of how it felt leading up to Infinity War, where it's like, this is going to be the finale. We're done.
Yeah.
And and I think everyone in the industry, following normal industry standards, expected it to go all right, people will start losing interest, and a TV show will end, and will come back 10 years later. Right. And I think, if anything, you can tell that this is now them almost future-proofing Phase 4 to work into Phase 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. That T'Challa was introduced all the way back in Black Panther 2, which came out in 2022, and his movie hit in 2032. That's how it feels to me. We're prepping that far out now.
That's
to see
fair,
what we can do with these things.
Also, Phase 4 is like the, you get a kid, you get a kid, you get a kid, you get a kid. Thor gets a kid. Thor gets a kid. Black Panther gets a kid. Hulk gets a kid. Thor
gets a kid. Still doesn't make any sense.
It makes sense in the story. It's just, boo! I don't want that.
Never mind the fact Thor's not supposed to age, so he just wouldn't be around. You could just have Chris Hemsworth come back at 70. I'm still Thor.
I'm the All-Father now.
Yeah.
That's all. Ant-Man gets a kid. Everybody gets a kid. Spider-Man is a kid now. Everybody gets a kid.
I'm waiting for that. Son of Spider-Man.
It's just, that's Miles. But man. Overall, movie's tight. Great soundtrack. The CG doesn't look like ass, which I was like, yay, good for you.
Yeah. I don't think there was any moment in particular that I noticed the CG. I noticed it, but there's moments in Thor where you're like, ah.
Oh yeah, no, there's moments.
I mean, every time She-Hulk ups, you're like, ah.
Oh no, Doctor Strange, Thor, Moon Knight.
Shuma-Gorath did not look right in Doctor Strange.
It wasn't even Shuma-Gorath.
Oh yeah, my bad. Gargantua.
Or whatever the hell his name was. It's fake. It was Shuma-Gorath. Even though it shouldn't have been, because Shuma-Gorath is a really important character that has more agency than just being like, I'm a tentacle monster. Oh no, I'm a temple guardian in a sequence.
Oh, I work for Wanda.
Yeah, I'm rolling around. I work for Wanda. That sucks. That sucks on toast. Anyway.
Gargantua. Thank you, chat.
Yeah. Thank you. Lucky us. But it was good. It was a solid movie. I really enjoyed it. And, and it's like, it's not just about, the good thing is it's also a movie. So if you've experienced loss in your life, if you experienced it recently or even 10 years ago, you can get something out of this movie and be and find some healing, even especially if you feel like they were taken prematurely from you. It's
yes.
Hey, way to tell a damn story. Way to go.
The last thing I want to state is I actually loved the pacing on this. There was no point where I felt, the movie was slowed down to a point where I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Because I'm a guy who drinks a ton of water. I have to pee in a movie normally. And there was no clean part to have to pee. There was no and this is going to be the 10-minute moment where we don't do anything. Let me go use the restroom real quick.
I mean, every Everett Ross scene, you could go to the bathroom.
I mean, yes, you could have, but I thought he was kind of funny, his role.
He was fun. I like him.
That's the last thing I wanted to bring up. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
How do you like about them using Contessa? I think it was, or but not even implying she's evil. Just
the Contessa. Yeah.
She's just there.
Yeah.
We know she's evil from Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Right.
But they didn't. There was no backdoor plot of what is Contessa doing? No, she just seems like she's working for the government and arrest Everett Ross.
Right. I don't know. I think they think they're Nick Furying this, and they're not. You know what I mean? Like, I think I think every time that Julia Louis-Dreyfus appears in a project, they're like, oh, we did it. And and everyone who's watching these things is like, so? Like, Black Panther, she shows, it's like, hey, I'm doing something. Not Black Panther, Black Widow.
Yeah.
Then in Black Widow, she shows up, and it's like, we now know it's because of Thunderbolts, but for like a full 2 years, we're like, so what? And then she shows up, I don't remember what the hell she was in last, but like she shows up in something else, and it was like, okay,
yeah.
but
it was one of the shows.
Who cares? You know, like, and then she's in this, and she's like, yeah, me and Everett Ross used to bang. I'm like, oh, Discount Colston is here to tell us about what, you know. None of this matters.
I never thought of Everett Ross as Discount Colson.
He is Discount Colson, despite the fact that, like, you know,
Martin Freeman's a big name.
Martin Freeman's a big deal. And why would you hire a prolific English actor to play nobody American guy? So weird.
It's funny because I've been watching this show that he's on called Breeders, where it's supposed to be like, oh, these two people get married and here's all the problems they have, and it's kind of like sitcom-ish, but like a dramedy. And I like it a lot, but he does his normal accent in there. And then he goes in there, and when he started talking, I'm like, oh, right, he does American in this.
Yeah. No, he's in The Office. Like, his accent is great, by the way.
Yes.
The most damning thing is that he sounds incredible. And I'm like, you know what you could have done? Hired any American. And you could have saved so much money and not wasted Martin Freeman on nobody, the guy.
Yeah.
Like, what? And now
he
it's
doesn't even gain anything in this. Like,
no, he has to live in Wakanda for the rest of his life, which, like, I mean, that wouldn't be so bad. But, like, that being said, that's all he has now. And it's not like he's going to be a superhero. He's not going to put on a friggin', although everybody gets an armor, so maybe he'll just jump into a thing of armor and be like, I'm Everett Ross, the superhero. And, like, it doesn't do anything. I get that, like, he was a character, but, you know, it's just weird.
I thought he was going to be regulated to just that initial cameo where they reached out to him and he told them where to go. And that was going to be it. But then he just kept popping up. And
they kept, like, checking in, like, we care. Yeah. And, you know, like, oh, no, Valentina's married to him. That was interesting. I get it. Except I don't care about her. So, like, none of that matters to me. It's just whatever. It was very
were they
whatever.
Actually married? I know he said his wife.
No,
but
they
I just assumed
the characters in the movie were married.
I thought that was like a weird cover he was doing when he said my wife and stuff.
No,
like the way they acted, they didn't act like a married couple.
Well, they were
like
married. They were divorced for longer. But like,
okay. That's where I missed something then. Okay,
yeah. No, they were married. It's just like, what are you doing with Ross? And by the way, it's Everett Ross. Is he related to Thunderbolt Ross? Like,
I was wondering that when you started saying his full name. I never really thought about like his name. Really? It's kind of like what was it the Martha situation for Batman Superman, where even though they're both named Martha, it never clicked
for
until
like 100
Snyder.
years. We were all just like, and then someone went, "Do they have the same name?" And it's like, yeah, they do. That's weird.
But all right, we're gonna wrap this one up. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know what you think about Black Panther down below. My name's Benny. That is Sal. Check out our sponsors, Gamer Subs and Into the AM, and we'll see you next time right here.